Welcome very much to the second webinar in the series of 3. My name is Magdalena Malinowska and I am here together with Joachim Bergen, and we are representing Empathic Way Europe, which is a project that we have together with Paulina and Cory, and we share nonviolent communication mainly online but also offline. And this series of webinars about the basics of nonviolent communication, and yesterday we focused on self-empathy, and today I will tell you more about empathy. So to show you the full agenda of today, I will share the screen. So I hope you can see it. So what I will share with you, it's at the beginning 3 aspects of nonviolent communication. Then I will tell you when can you listen with empathy, when it's really useful to do it. Then I will present you possible barriers in nonviolent communication, and we will make a short role play with Joachim. After that, I will tell you what is the definition of empathy according to nonviolent communication, and also how to listen with empathy. At the end, I will share what can support empathy, and I hope you will have some questions, so we will make this Q&A session after. So that's the plan. And yes, 3 aspects of nonviolent communication. As I told you, there is self-empathy that you could hear in another webinar yesterday, empathy when we listen to other people, and honesty when we share what's alive in us. So when can we listen with empathy? What came to my mind were like 3 main areas. So there are situations that someone comes to you and shares something important, but it's not connected to you. It doesn't involve you. And then you can focus on them and really check what's in them and be with them. So that's the one situation. And the other one is when someone comes to you, but you are involved. So maybe you triggered that person somehow, and then they come to you and they tell you how it affected them. So that's the second. And the third one, it's whenever you really want to understand someone. Yeah, what's important to that person? What kind of needs that person has? And it can happen at work or in everyday private life. And especially, it's good to listen with empathy when, for example, you have some common decision to take. So instead of seeing the problem and then going directly to the solution, maybe it's good to stop for a moment and really focus on the feelings and needs of that person. That helps. Yes, and here is the slide of few possible barriers in communication. Sometimes you can name them as empathy killers. So that's basically what empathy is not. And we very often do these things when we listen to others, and it's like not forbidden, but please have awareness that it simply is not empathy. So now I stop sharing the screen. And together with Joachim, we will try to play a role. And the situation is that he is coming to me and trying to share something really important and alive for him. And I respond in one of these empathic killers. So Joachim.
Yeah. You know, I received this invoice from this company. I already paid the invoice, but I paid it a couple of days late. And between I paid it and they received it, they sent me a reminder. And that reminder came on my email, and I didn't sort of notice it because in my mind I had already paid. And then after one other reminder, this reminder of 25 Swedish crowns, like 250 euros, had risen to 90 euros. So to pay 90 euros because I have an invoice of 2.5 euros, that really sucks.
So maybe you could call them and ask for, maybe it's possible to go back to this 2 euros.
Okay.
Yeah, or how often are you checking your emails? Maybe you could check more often.
Right, yeah.
So now what I did, I gave him advice, and advice is, especially when somebody doesn't ask, it's like they don't help. And as you can see, Joachim is not very satisfied with my response to his situation. So that is advising. Yeah, second one.
Yeah, so yeah, but can't you listen? It's really like, okay, I could take it if they would charge me for maybe 10 euros or maybe even 20 euros, but to go from 2.5 euros to pay 90 euros, that's...
Oh, poor you. Like, how will you manage to pay so much money? Oh, I'm totally with you there.
I'm able to pay, but I think it's...
That's so sad.
Oh.
So now I just showed him some empathy, like sympathy. So it's like, oh, pity you. So I'm so sorry for you. Yeah, you poor guy. So the second one, third one.
Okay. Yeah, I think they are really greedy bastards. Like, they are a plague of the earth to really suck out money from poor people.
I totally agree with you. They are really horrible, those people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how can you like live in a country that does that?
Yeah, I can't understand this. No.
So greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I was agreeing with Joachim, and that's the trap, because sometimes, especially when the other person is telling you about people that are close to them, like partners or family members, and they can say they are really pissed off at them at the moment, and you agree with that. Yes, they are so horrible. Like, it's not possible to live with them. So for the other person, it might sound like, okay, but why are you telling that? Like, I thought you liked them. Yeah, so be really careful in doing that. Yeah. Another one.
Yeah, I think those people who work at such a place, I don't know if they have any empathy at all. It's like they just want to earn money on people who already have not so much money. So I think...
Yeah, but you know, they wouldn't be needed if everybody paid on time. So if you kept your papers in order, that wouldn't happen, yeah?
Yeah.
So this time I tried to educate him and tell how he should behave. So in this, it's also a hidden advice, yeah, what I would do if I was him. Okay, so maybe last time, last one.
All right, I go on with this bastards that they really have no empathy. I just had to pay 250 and now they charge me with 90 euros. I can't get it. It's...
Yeah, but that reminds me that my sister had something similar, like the same situation, and she also forgot to pay. But it was like they gave her like not only a few days, but I think it was 2 weeks. So I think it was similar.
Okay.
Okay, so I make a stop here And now what I was doing, it's very common. I started to share my stories. So what that reminded me about someone else. Yeah, and then Joachim was left alone with his story, and I didn't follow him anymore. So do you have some questions to that part, these barriers in communication? Any reflections? Do you recognize it from your life? Yeah, I can see nodding.
You know, or I would rather say it's easier for me oftentimes to just jump directly to the solutions approach. Like whenever someone says there's a problem on me, just jump directly to the solutions approach. And then regularly people tell me from time to time that, you know, that's not what I was looking for. So,
yes, yeah. Thanks. And that's very common. And everything from this list we usually do to support others. So our intention is to really support them and help them and make them happy again. And unfortunately, in this moment, it's not so serving them. Yeah, maybe it will work for some time, but at the end, they still are there with their problem and they don't have more clarity about the situation. So just have awareness that it's not that you never should do that. It's just not empathy, and it's not serving the purpose of that person really discovering what matters to them. Okay. So any more reflections and questions? I don't see. Okay, so I continue with the presentation, and if you have questions, you can write them in the chat and then I can come back to it. Okay. So that was what is not empathy. And very often people ask me, okay, so if I cannot do that, so what I can do? It's like, should I just sit and do nothing? So before I tell you what you can do instead, I tell you what's empathy according to nonviolent communication. And here on the slide, you have one of the definitions. And basically speaking, empathy is giving your attention to another person by either silently or verbally guessing their feelings and needs. So it's not necessarily that you need to say something aloud. It can be done always also internally. And the aim of empathy is creating safe space and being open to the words, feelings, and needs of another person. And the aim is not finding the strategy that will solve the problem. So like, we trust that if that person receives really a lot of empathy, like space to discover their feelings and needs, then it will be quite easy for them to find the solution themselves. And if not, they can ask them. They can ask us. Yeah. So I also very often use the metaphor of that person that I am listening to is on the stage and the light is on them. And whenever I do something from the list of these barriers in communication, I take out the light from them and then I am on the stage. So when I'm listening with empathy, I want that person to be in the middle of my interest. Yeah, so how can you listen with empathy? And the first thing that you can do is to just listen in silence without words and be there and try to follow that person. And at the beginning, when I was learning nonviolent communication, it was quite difficult because it's like, how can I just sit and not do anything? How can that person know that that I am there. So try it out. It really helps. And in everyday life, it's really hard sometimes to get even 5 minutes for ourselves, that someone really listens to us for 5-10 minutes. So that's a real gift you can give. Besides, you can be present. So that means that you are there and not checking your phone or thinking about your stuff. Just being present, focusing on that person, like keeping the space for them. Another thing that you can do is making sure that you understand what has been said by paraphrasing and clarifying. So you simply repeat what you heard in maybe your own words, or you can also sum up what you understood and tell that to that person. And very often when they hear what you understood, then they can reflect on what was said and maybe add something, maybe have another perspective. So it helps to go deeper. Sometimes what works is just repeating exactly like last 3 words or last phrase, especially when that person is speaking really quickly and it's hard to summarize or paraphrase. You can also ask questions, but the questions shouldn't be like interrogating that person. So it's more like questions that support them. Maybe if you can see that they are only in their head and sharing what they are thinking, maybe you can ask, okay, so what are your feelings, yeah, or what are your needs? And then you can go slowly to guessing feelings and needs. And that is part that is at the core of nonviolent communication, that we focus on feelings and needs and we guess. So we don't need to really like aim and really like guess, but we can be wrong. It's more about leaving the space for that person that they answer yes or no. It's maybe some another feeling that we thought. So it's like checking. Yes, and here I have some differentiations that I thought that might be interesting for you. I read about them in the book of Liv Larson, and it's like, when you listen with empathy to someone, what can you concentrate on? And the first differentiation is that you can focus on the content of what someone is saying. So for example, what really happened, when, and what were the feelings and needs of that person then in the past. Or instead you can focus on the process, and that means that you're focusing on what's alive in that person at this moment. If they share it with you, that means that it's still important. So you focus on here and now and what's happening in that person. The second differentiation is when you focus on unmet needs or on needs. And when you focus on unmet needs, it's more like, oh, is your need of closeness not fulfilled? So you focus on the lack. Instead, you can say, okay, so is it that the closeness is important to you, that you really want more closeness? I hope you can see the difference. In the first one, we focus on the lack, and here we focus on energy of the need, like abundance. And the third differentiation that I somehow mentioned before is stating versus guessing. Sometimes people, especially after first contact with nonviolent communication, they start telling people what they feel and what they need. It's more, they see someone and they, oh, so you are sad because you need respect, for example. Yeah? And very often you can hear the response, don't tell me what I'm needing or what I'm feeling. I know what I'm feeling. So instead, try guessing. So is it that you are sad because you really want respect? And then you stop and let that person say. Yeah, so maybe before I go further, I check if you have some questions, reflections. Yeah, all is good. Thank you, Maya. So is it clear for you what is empathy and how you can listen with empathy? Yeah. Okay. So I continue.
Did you see the question in the chat?
No. Okay, so the difference between stating and guessing is just that we make it a gentle question in guessing. It's, yeah, it is a matter of the question mark, but it's also that I am curious what is alive in that person. It's like, okay, I have some theory that they might feel something, but I'm not attached to it. So I really want to know what are they feeling. So I think, for example, in the situation with Joachim, I might think, oh, maybe he's really irritated because he needs freedom. Yeah, he wants to pay his invoices whenever he wants. But if I asked him, he might say, no, I'm not irritated. I'm more frustrated or disappointed because I really value keeping agreements. Yeah, so that's completely something else. And if I check with him, then I can learn what is inside of him. And if I just tell, yeah, he's irritated because he needs freedom, then I lose this opportunity to really learn what's important to him. So does it, I hope it answers the question. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I see the comment that I'm making it clear. So thank you, Janet. No questions. Yeah. So anybody else, if you want, you can raise the hand. I don't see. Okay, so I share the presentation. Yeah, so what can support you in being empathetic? Because sometimes it's like so hard to listen to others, to really focus on them. So what helps is being curious, that I really want to learn what is alive in them. The other thing is that I trust that the other person is trying to fulfill their needs and not to do something against me. Yeah, so I have this belief that, yeah, even if I don't like what they are saying, even if I don't like how they behave, I can still trust that they are doing the best they can at this moment. And then I can find the space in myself to be open for them and their word. Another thing is self-empathy process. If you were yesterday, you could see how you do it. And self-empathy is really helping you to, let's say, to maybe calm down if you are a bit stressed. And if you have some need of empathy yourself, you can, for the moment, offer it to yourself. And it helps to, like, if you don't have empathy for yourself, then it's really hard to have empathy for others. So it's somehow connected. So it's good to really take care about you. And what's connected to self-empathy is taking a responsibility for your feelings by connecting them to your needs. So it's the knowledge that I am responsible for my feelings and they are not dependent on the other person, on what they are doing or saying. Yeah, so I told Joachim that it might be possible that I finish what I prepared for in 15 minutes instead of 1 hour. So I'm happy that I finished only half an hour earlier. But I hope that now we can have some talk, like questions, and that I can answer, or maybe you, Joachim, want to add something. Yeah, Maya?
Yes, I would like to ask you about the curiosity. I didn't quite get it, how it does support empathy.
Yes, sometimes it's that we listen to someone, but actually we are listening not to learn about that person, but maybe to how to say, to find the time when I can share what's alive in me. So it's somehow connected to intention with which I am listening to people. Sometimes I have already in my head the image of that person. So I know what I would feel in that situation and what I would need. And it's really hard to see that person in their humanity. So it's the curiosity that, oh, maybe like probably they have different, like they have it different that I have. And then I have this openness in me to really, listen to them. So that's that's how I see it. Yeah, Joachim?
I would like to add, do you hear me correctly now? Yeah. Yes. That for me, it's about cultivating a curiosity for other people. Especially when I started nonviolent communication, I saw it as a communication model. Like, oh, when someone is feeling upset, I can use those 4 components and guess feelings and needs and so on. And I used it as a form rather than trying to connect what was really alive in this person. So by cultivating this curiosity and not sort of, oh, this person is feeling upset, I will try to fix him or make him feel better or something like that, I can sort of, wow, this must be really important for this person when he or she is expressing her feelings or needs in this way. So, and if I choose, I want to have contact, and then I can guess with feelings and needs. So, yeah, so I use my curiosity in order to create this connection between us. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an idea that because it's not so many of us, so we can go into breakout rooms and maybe you can practice empathic listening. I will make a trios. So the exercise is like one person is sharing for 5 minutes and the other people try to listen with empathy. So you can try paraphrasing or guessing feelings and needs. Yes, and then after 5 minutes you change and the second person sharing and the other listen and then you change. So thank you very much for participating in today's webinar. And if you want to learn more about nonviolent communication, we are inviting you to our website. It's empathiceurope.com. And if you have any questions, you can always send it to us. So see you on the other event. Bye.